I'll move it here. I'll move it. You want me, or you want me to get your office chair?
Testing, testing. Can you all hear me?
Share.
Uh-oh, I better sit on the floor. Make me look smaller.
She's wearing a It is now. Okay, no, I brought in a pen that looked like that. And I'm like, are you ready? Yeah.
Just here's the what you need.
Okay, so
He wants us to receive and file the election results again, even though we did it before.
okay, so just after the pledge.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. We're going to start the meeting. This is the regular council meeting of October 11th. The time is 7:30. Clerk, can you please do a roll call?
Councilman Bliss,
I'm here.
Councilman Corbett, Councilman Gettings,
Here.
Councilor Rohrbach,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis,
Present.
Mayor Grafstein.
I'm here, thank you. Can I please have a motion to excuse Councilman Corbett? He did give us notice about 2 weeks ago.
Your Honor. So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second. Oh, excuse me.
All right.
Second, please.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Soltis. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. So moved. Councilman Corbett has been excused. This evening, our invocation and pledge will be led by Councilor Rohrbach. Councilor Rohrbach, the floor is yours. And if you could stand if you're able, please.
Good evening. Tonight, I'm going to read a poem by Poet Laureate Joy Harjo. The old ones opened the ears of girl warrior, tempering the frequency before she left on her mission. We are sending you, they said, to learn how to listen. There is good in this world, there is evil. There is no story without one and the other. You will be gravity, you will be feather. Send each story to the heart, each word before you act or speak.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. First up this evening is the appointment of Sean Fleming to council and the oath of service. All right, so due to the vacancy created by Kim Clark's resignation, City Council will be appointing the next highest vote getter from November 2019 election, Sean Fleming. So I need a motion to receive and file the election results from November 2019 and to appoint Sean Fleming to this vacant City Council seat expiring November 2023. Can I get that motion, please?
Your Honor.
Mr. Bliss?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I get a second for that motion?
Your Honor.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Second.
All right, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to appoint Sean Fleming and to receive and file the election results from November 2019. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those against say no. Motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Fleming. You are now going to be appointed.
Sean D. Fleming, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and the Charter of the City of Madison Heights, that you will endeavor to secure and maintain an honest and efficient administration of the affairs of the City of Madison Heights, free from partisan control, and that you will faithfully fulfill the duties of the office of councilman during the terms of your office according to the best of your abilities, so help you God. Congratulations.
All right, we're just going to take a moment for administrative.
Sign right there.
Right here.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Sure, let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, thank you. All right, First up, we're going to approve the agenda. So are there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to presentations. First up is the Summer Beautification Awards. Mrs. Marsh, you have a report?
Yes, we have a short PowerPoint, and then we'll be followed by DPS Director Corey Almas giving our Summer Beautification Awards. Oh, sure.
Oh, come on. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor Grafstein and members of council. I am here tonight on behalf of the Beautification Committee, which primarily consists of the Active Adult Board, to present the council to the 2021 Summer Beautification Awards. The committee has received a total of 9 nominations for this year's awards, where residents took photos of their own or their neighbor's landscape to submit to the Beautification Committee's review. Not only did the committee get to observe some of the most beautifully landscaped homes in the city, but we're also able to witness some very artistic photography as well. The committee had selected 2 outstanding homes as winner and runner-up for the 2021 Beautification Awards. During the review process, it was clear and obvious that many of our residents take great pride in maintaining their homes by way of landscaping and gardening. Tonight, we'd like to acknowledge 2 of these outstanding homes. Please allow me to introduce to council the owners of the beautiful residence. First up is our award winner, Mr. and Mrs. John and Joni Erla of 1691 Oakland Drive, if they're here. I don't see them in attendance tonight. But as you witnessed in our presentation, the home immediately caught the committee's eye. The vibrant garden and colorful flowers that complemented the various shrubs and trees, along with the well-manicured lush green grass, is what makes this home award-winning. On behalf of the Beautification Committee, congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Erla, and we have a certificate of appreciation and a $50 gift card to Maya's Bakery located at 1413 West 14 Mile Road in Madison Heights as our appreciation for a job well done. Our 2021 Beautification Award runner-up is Miss Eve Sandoval of 27360 Barrington Street. As you'll see in the beautiful photos, the ample variety of colorful flowers and perennials complementing the butterflies and free little library is what makes this home a very close runner-up. The amount of time and effort required to maintain such a vast and beautiful garden was sincerely appreciated by the committee. Is Miss Sandoval here tonight? Okay. Okay, so we have also a certificate of appreciation and a $50 gift card to the 24th Cheesecakery located at 141 West 13 Mile in Madison Heights as an appreciation for her hard work. I'd also like to take this opportunity to introduce and honorably mention Miss Kathleen Faulkner, an active adult center staff member who is primarily responsible for the beautiful landscaping and flower gardens at the Active Adult Center located at 29448 John Road. Kat's vision and hard work will be immediately noticed when you drive into the AC parking lot. As you'll see in the PowerPoint presentation, it's very clear that Kat takes pride in her work. Kat, will you come on up? Okay, we can start the presentation, Melissa. Thank you. Thank you to both the award recipients and our honorable mention cat, as well as all the nominees for making your homes and our city look so nice. The Beautification Committee will be reviewing holiday light decorations in December, and we're always looking for nominees. Residents can contact the Department of Public Services in December to nominate themselves or their neighbors. Thank you, Mayor, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Almas, Ms. Faulkner, and everyone from the beautification group for doing this. It's great, although I'm sure you enjoyed yourself driving around looking at beautiful gardens. So thank you, though, for picking them. You hear me? Okay. All right. Okay, thank you, everyone. Next up, we have for P2, the resolution declaring the second Monday in October as Indigenous Peoples' Day in Madison Heights. Mrs. Marsh?
Yes, I'm actually going to read the resolution.
Okay.
So a resolution by City Council of the City of Madison Heights, Michigan, declaring the second Monday in October as Indigenous People Day. Whereas the City of Madison Heights recognizes the annexation of the Ottawa, Ojibwa, and Potawatomi indigenous nations who have lived upon this land and value the progress our society has accomplished through Native American thought and culture. And whereas the City of Madison Heights recognizes the need to honor the city's Native American residents, Michigan's 12 federally recognized tribes, state historic tribes, and all indigenous people who come from across the Western Hemisphere to live and work within Madison Heights. And whereas the City of Madison Heights understands that in order to help close the equity gap, governmental entities, organizations, and other public institutions must change their policies and practices to better reflect experiences of Native American peoples and uplift our country's indigenous roots, history, and contributions. And whereas the idea of Indigenous Peoples Day was first proposed in 1977 by a delegation of Native nations to the United Nations, sponsored International Conference on Discrimination Against Indigenous Populations in the Americas. And whereas in 1990, representatives from 120 indigenous nations at the First Continental Conference on 500 Years of Indian Resistance unanimously passed a resolution to transform Columbus Day into an opportunity to educate the rest of the country about pre-existing indigenous cultures that have survived an often violent colonization process and continue to exist and thrive in present-day America. And whereas Governor Whitmer proclaimed October 11th as Indigenous Peoples Day, and last week President Biden became the first U.S. president to issue an official proclamation for Indigenous Peoples Day, and now therefore be it resolved that the City of Madison Heights shall recognize Indigenous Peoples Day, replacing Columbus Day on the second Monday of October, and it further be resolved that the City of Madison Heights encourages all public offices and businesses in the city to refer as the second Monday in October as Indigenous Peoples Day rather than Columbus Day, and the City Council urges all schools, school districts, children's educational programs in Madison Heights to join in the celebration of Indigenous Peoples Day with appropriate social, cultural, and educational activities, recognizing the historical and continuing contributions of the Native American people in our society.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Marsh. Normally, we wait for public comment later on, but I just, Councilor Warbuck, did you think this came from you and the HREC? Did you want to talk for a minute about this, if you had anyone in the audience?
I
want to
would
talk?
love to, thank you.
Okay.
And I know there are a couple people here to make public comment about it, so if we wanted to invite them to speak as well, or do you want to wait till public comment time?
If you want, if there's a couple of people who want to speak specifically on this,
Yes.
I'm happy to have them come up now.
Okay.
I know this is something you've worked hard on.
Yeah, I'd love for them to do
Okay.
that now.
If you want, we're opening public comment just specifically to talk about this resolution. If anyone wants to come up and just take a moment to do that.
And then, Your Honor, I do have a couple comments after
Okay.
they're done.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. I thought I was. There, is that better? Yes. Deborah Jane Choate Nindishnakas, Madison Heights Nindujiba, White Earth Nindao, Pillager Band Nindudum. Deborah Jane Choate Shepherd is my name. I live in Madison Heights on Spoon Avenue since 2007. White Earth is my tribal association. Pillager Band is my clan. And I am also a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. This evening, I commend the City Council for taking the decision to declare October 11th as Indigenous Peoples' Day. A few weeks ago, our neighbors to the north in Canada designated September 30th as a day of truth and reconciliation. They were reflecting on the legacy of the residential schools where Indigenous children were sent to be forcibly assimilated into European culture. The same practice was implemented in the United States as well, under the slogan, "Kill the Indian, save the man." These schools continued to operate well into the last quarter of the 20th century. Take that in a little bit. My own beloved grandmother, Jane Choate, was one of those children, taken to boarding school at the age of 8, having never spoken English, and subjected to the attempt to erase her heritage. My sisters and I, and many other Indigenous people, wore orange shirts in solidarity with our Canadian friends on the Day of Truth and Reconciliation. And one common response from people we encountered on that day was one of surprise. They had no idea such things took place here in the United States. Over the years, I've done presentations in schools about some aspects of the history of my people. I particularly enjoy stereotype breaking. Sometimes I ask my audience who might have been studying about Indians or Native people, and I would say to them, "Where do they live?" And they say, "Oh, in teepees and wigwams." "Oh, and what do they eat?" "Oh, fish and deer meat." "What do they wear?" "Buckskin." "What kind of work do they do?" "Oh, they fish and hunt." Then I say, "Well, I know Native people who eat spaghetti, wear blue jeans, work with computers, and live in condominiums."
Okay.
Now, when I say that, the kids usually laugh. Is it too long?
Yeah, sorry, that was the 3-minute timer, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't usually go off.
Do you want me to stop? Or
I'm
continue?
sorry, but yeah,
I only
it's
have
3
a couple
minutes.
paragraphs. I often ask them if they want to see a picture of an Indian brave I once knew, and I show them this. My father, who served in the Pacific Theater in World War II. But I'm here to offer my support and encouragement for the sake of all of our children and grandchildren and generations to come to recognize the contributions, such as my father's, and rich heritage of our Indigenous communities. I will be pleased to share information or resources to anyone who wants to know more about it, because I believe that when we become people who are not afraid to acknowledge all of our history, no matter how complicated or even shameful, we will become fully mature citizens of a fully mature country. Your actions here are an important step in bringing that about. Miigwech.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak specifically about the Indigenous Peoples' Day? And sorry, if you could keep it to 3 minutes, please. All public comment. And all right, I'm going to close public comment for that. We will be back with regular public comment. Councilor Warbach.
Thank you. For full disclosure, that's my mom. So Deborah Shepard is my mother. But celebrating Indigenous Peoples' Day is something that's near and dear to me personally. For this year, for the very first time, a sitting U.S. president recognized Indigenous Peoples' Day, and I'm really grateful for that. But I want to emphasize something that made an impact on me this past year. I've always known I was Native, but my grandfather, who died before I was born, and today would have been his 95th birthday, was a child of 2 Indian boarding school children and grew up in eastern Oklahoma. His mother was Ojibwe from White Earth Reservation and is in Minnesota, and his father was a citizen of Cherokee Nation from Oklahoma. And since the boarding schools did the job they sought to do, separate Native children from their cultures, destroy communities, and steal Native lands, and remove Native languages and traditions, I did not grow up learning and participating in the practices of my own people. Over the years, my mother has helped our family reconnect with the teachings of our ancestors in small ways, and I've learned more of the stories from my ancestors and the significance of the land as part of our culture. This past summer, my family took a trip to Mackinac Island. Mackinac Island, also known as Michilimackinac, is a sacred land to the Anishinaabe, or the people who lived here, or still live here. A sacred place where people were buried, where gatherings took place, and community thrived. But when we got there this summer, the story that we were told was one that basically began and ended with European colonization. Any mention of the original people of the land was an afterthought or a kitschy story about a silly little turtle that they thought the island looked like a turtle. That's not it. I made a point throughout the day to pull my own children aside to make sure that they knew the real history, the sacred stories of that land. And I stood at Arch Rock and found tears in my eyes because the place is majestic. It's powerful and ultimately, sadly, I believe, stolen land. I'm telling you all this because I think it illustrates just how important it is to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day in this place of Michigame, Michigan. The Anishinaabe, the people, are still here, persevering, still thriving. That story of this land does not begin when European settlers arrived, but goes back tens of thousands of years to the Native people who lived here, developed distinct and rich cultures, and have survived the genocide since colonization. I challenge everyone to dig a little deeper, to recognize that this land has a history that is far more vast and wonderful than what many of us were taught in school, and to learn more, appreciate more, and honor and celebrate more today and every day. Miigwech.
Thank you, Councilor Rohrbach. So with that, can I have a motion regarding the resolution? Do we
So
accept
moved.
it? Okay. Do we need to vote? We don't need to vote. Okay, then we don't need to vote. Okay, but on behalf of Councilor Rohrbach, we're going to do the presentation. Then we have public hearings. We have special approval for 21-03 for 29401 Stevenson Highway. It's other uses of a similar and no more objectionable character in an M1 district. Mrs. Marsh?
The applicant has requested the revised special approval for a self-storage facility located in the M1 district at 29401 Stevenson under section 10.3294 of the zoning ordinance. The special approval was originally adopted by City Council on July the 26th. The applicant is seeking approval for an additional 133 storage units and an expansion of the second story towards the rear of the property. The Site Plan Review Committee reviewed the request and approved the plans subject to City Council approval of the special land use request and contingent upon Zoning Board of Appeals approval of the parking reduction. Should City Council approve this request, it is recommended that the approval be contingent upon the Zoning Board of Appeals approval of the parking reduction, lighting installations including shields, timers, dimmers, and/or sensors to reduce light trespass into the residential properties to the west, and a revision of the west evaluation of the proposed two-story building to reduce the amount of corrugated steel to be compatible with residential buildings.
All right, thank you. What is, actually, we're going to do public hearing first. So is there anyone who wants to speak specifically about the special approval?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of council. My name is Bill Davis. I'm one of the owners of the building at 29401 Stevenson Highway. This is our project architect, Stuart Fine. When we were here last, we proposed a self-storage facility, basically rehabbing the existing office building, which is on industrial zone land. And as often happens in the development business, we try to get information on multiple tracks, and we were getting our construction estimate at the time, and we received it, and a couple factors impacted it. One is materials and labor costs, which are particularly high during the pandemic and with shortages and that sort of thing. And the other is just the overall timing of the project with respect to those items. So the solution for us is to increase the scale of the project so that our economies of scale are improved. We're also hoping that, and knowing that the prices will moderate by spring based on commodity indexes like the steel pricing index. And so We came today to let you know that the project itself, the second story, is roughly 18,000 gross square feet and 13,000 rentable square feet. It's the same materials and finishes as the building that was proposed previously. And we wanted to show you a board, and I wondered if we could, Stuart, maybe you could show that more closely, if that's all right,
You want to give it to me?
or hand it over.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we've got a combination
Show
of
this to everybody.
face brick, concrete brick, and metal siding. The metal siding is an architectural grade premium product, as Stuart may discuss that just briefly.
The building, the finishes as shown on the board, there's an accent color red, but the building is more a gray tones, black and gray tones, and the front of the building is a blackish brick, and the rear of the building is a sea block or brick, which is also a dark gray color. And the elevation that is in question, there's about 55% of masonry on that elevation, which is well over exceeds your code requirements. And is there any questions?
So,
I'm sorry, of the three comments on the agenda from the planning review, the third one we weren't aware of until the agenda got printed, so not sure of the protocol, but we did believe that was a compliant elevation, and we're happy to discuss it tonight. We're prepared to do that, or perhaps have some leeway with planning to discuss it. In particular, we believe the objection is the view from the neighbors, and one possibility that we would have proposed is additional landscaping to screen that view rather than changing materials. It represents a change to the structure of the building and a substantial change to that wall structurally. And so, exactly. All right. So thank you. Otherwise, we're here to answer questions about the project. Thank you very much.
okay, so just so I understand this, you didn't know about number 3, but you know that you need to go to the zoning board.
Correct.
Okay.
So we're on the agenda, I believe, for the November ZBA, and we're also discuss the lighting. We're happy to put timers and dimmers for after hours on the west elevation for the residents. And we just weren't aware of comments about the elevation, but we're happy to moderate it in a way that's most productive. Changing the structure of the building makes it a little more intense than maybe another solution.
Okay. Yeah, I think that what we would do then is we would just make a slight change to this, to have this, if council approves it, it's already contingent on the zoning board. It would also be contingent on site plan review. So you would need to work with them.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense? Okay. All right. And you're fine with the lighting in the zoning board, so that's fine. Okay. So is there any other discussion from the public? Any questions they have? These are the gentlemen who are going to be working on it. If you want to give me that, I can show it to everyone. Pass that along. Thank you. So this is for 29401 Stevenson, which is not quite 12 and a half mile on Stevenson, just would be south of Costco.
It's an office building currently. It's vacant. It's about 40,000 square feet now, just under 2 acres. And so it's industrial zone land, so we're proposing a storage facility to rehab the existing building, put a new facade on it, put an addition on the back.
The existing building is presently painted black.
Okay. All right, are there any other questions or comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close public oh, can you, sorry. Okay. Yeah, if you guys want to sit down, then we can, sorry, thank you. If you want to come up for public comment, yeah.
Vita Palazzolo, 250 East 13 Mile. No, I was just curious. I know part of it is storage, but if I misunderstood you, correct me. But didn't he say upstairs or downstairs for other possible businesses? Did I miss that? Or is the whole thing for a storage unit?
It's additional storage units. So the whole,
It's 133
Yeah,
additional storage
So
units.
it's a storage
Right.
facility? Okay.
Yes.
To rent? Okay.
yeah.
Yes,
just
they've
wanna-
already received special approval, but this is to make it larger.
Are there any other questions, comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close public hearing. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Mr. Bliss?
I'll give it a go. I move that we approve the special approval request for 29401 Stevenson, contingent upon the Zoning Board of Appeals approving the parking reduction, a site plan review approval regarding the west elevation, and then lighting installation that would include shields, timers, dimmers, and sensors to reduce light getting into residential properties to the west.
And then there's Councilman Bliss, there's also the third site. Did you say the third? Okay, sorry, I missed that. All right, is there a second?
Your Honor, I'll second.
Thank you. All right, motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion among council?
Your Honor,
Mr. Soltis?
I'd just like to say thank you for coming to Madison Heights. We appreciate it, and I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Your Honor. I'm just going to say, this is a property that's been empty for some time. I don't know the length of time it's been empty, so I appreciate a revitalization in the area and a way to relook at what our empty buildings are. We've got other empty buildings in the property, and I invite other real estate people to come and take a look and see how they can help our city continue to improve, and looking at the vacant buildings especially. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comment from council? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close discussion and take a vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those against, please say no. All right, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. All right, next up, we have meeting open to the public. This is about anything on the agenda, anything you want to talk about. I'm going to open this up to the public. I ask that you keep it to 3 minutes and that you state your name, address, any affiliation with this, with the city. With that, meeting is open to the public.
My name is Susan Salyers. I live at 27335 Groveland. I've been there since 1972. I'm questioning an article I read about the Park Madison marijuana companies. 2 were mentioned. The one behind my house at 27360 was not mentioned. They were in there since last year. I don't know if it used to be the auto store there. The windows are blackened out. One is totally cracked. Last year fall, I called the police because people back there were walking around smoking pot. I had my windows open all day, nice west breeze. My house stunk. Unfortunately, the police said there was nothing they could do because I voted for it. I've never smoked pot. I've not done weed, nothing. So now when I go, I remember Miss Rohrbach before it went virtual, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
There was some kind of kerfuffle, whatever you call it, a problem. And about the footage, how many feet did it have to be away from a resident? Then it went, and she said, I don't want it by my house because I'm raising 3 kids. Well, I don't want it by my house because I can't even mow my yard to this day because of the marijuana. Last fall, there was 3 guys walking around in the alleyway there because the brick wall is there, smoking, and I couldn't take it anymore. I was actually getting nauseous. I've had open heart surgery. I'm 71 years old. So I let my dog out. I went to the side of the fence, and my kids could have killed me. But I yelled, "Get your back in that building. You are not to be partying in the alleyway." Well, they didn't see me. So now it's a loud bass. I can sit in my living room in my window, and I'm not the only one. I'm just speaking for the neighbors also. And the windows shake, boom, boom, boom. Every time I mow my lawn, they open that door, the garage door and the side door to go in. I'm sick to my stomach because, so the police did say maybe it's not circulating enough in the building. I don't know what they're doing with this marijuana, if it's a personal thing, but it's growing because if you go down Gardenia, the bright lights and the rows of pot growing there. I just don't know where to go, who to complain to, so I just thought maybe somebody could check into it for me. And I timed it perfectly.
Thank you. Perfect, 3 minutes, perfect.
Okay. Thank you very much for letting me speak. I truly appreciate it.
No, I appreciate that, and I'm taking notes on everything that you've said.
Okay, thank
I
you.
am taking notes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who wants to speak?
Hi, thank you, Mayor. Jennifer Zmarzlik is 649 East Harwood. I thank that young lady for bringing up the subject about that building. It reminded me that I had a concern as well. The Correct Car Care building is attached to that building with the blacked out windows, which looks very shady. And I found out, and I'm going to give it away, I was talking to Joe, who owns Correct Car Care, and the smell is so bad permeating through the walls because they're abutted together that he is having a hard time working. So he's constantly telling them to replace filters. Once they replace a filter, it's fine for a time. It concerns me that if we're going to have buildings that produce these types of products, it needs to be standalone, not abutted next to buildings. And I feel that it's possible, if I read him correctly, he may actually leave that building, and hopefully not Madison Heights. But I would hope that, that his being here for so long and a respectable member of the community and on our DDA, that his opinion would matter. That number one, that building they should never have had the opportunity to go in that building because of the smell. I think that really has to be made a factor in decision making when you're bringing these types of products into the buildings, and that's my concern on that. On the HRAC ordinance 2172, I would like to I would like to inquire if the landlords in the city have been notified properly regarding this ordinance, which they will have to adhere to. And also, I question how is it going to be enforced, because our code enforcement already is at its limits. So I'm concerned about that issue as well. And I'm wondering, has anybody actually called HUD or the federal government and asked them what their opinion was? Because they already have a lot of laws that are protecting people that have income situations that are not helpful to them. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Is there anyone else who wanted to comment this evening?
Good evening, Mayor Grafstein and City Council members. My name is Kimberly Heisler. I am the Executive Director of the Madison Heights Community Coalition, and I am joined here with Ricky Bussler, who is the President of the Coalition. Together, we would like to share an exciting funding announcement. the Madison Heights Community Coalition was awarded a drug-free community support program grant in the amount of $125,000 by the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy in cooperation with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, also known as the CDC. We've received this grant for a total of 5 years, totaling $625,000. The coalition, we serve Madison Heights. Our goals are to establish and strengthen the community collaboration in support of local efforts to prevent youth substance use. The coalition, we will achieve these goals by implementing these strategies. We will recruit, engage, and educate new members in our coalition's efforts. We will deliver an informational campaign to increase awareness in the community about the low perception of harm with regards to underage marijuana and alcohol use. We will increase the perception of risk by changing the local condition that underage marijuana use is not harmful. And we will advocate and collaborate with community sectors to increase the awareness of the dangers of underage marijuana and alcohol use. We will also be hiring a youth coordinator and a bookkeeper to manage the grant. We would like to thank the City of Madison Heights for your collaboration and continued support of the coalition, and are thankful to have our office located in City Hall. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations. That's wonderful news. All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who wanted to speak this evening?
Good evening. My name is Philip Newman. I'm with the Detroit Metropolitan Apartment Association. I'd like to speak regarding item G4, and I'm not sure if it would be appropriate to speak now or if I could wait until that agenda item is up. That's the recommended ordinance regarding source of income.
This would be the time for public comment.
This would be
Please
the
go
time?
ahead.
Okay. So I am with the Detroit Metropolitan Apartment Association. I'm the legislative chairperson. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here tonight. The Detroit Metropolitan Apartment Association represents approximately 90,000 apartment units in the greater Detroit area. We also have some members that are here in Madison Heights. The DMAA strongly supports the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. Apartment housing owners across the country actively participate in the program voluntarily as Congress intended, including many of our members. The Section 8 voucher program is a critical component of the nation's strategy to ensure access to housing for low and moderate income families. In recent years, policymakers have markedly increased their interest in prohibiting discrimination on the basis of an individual's source of income in state and local fair housing laws. Source of income is generally defined to include housing assistance funds, and in fact, the Madison Heights ordinance specifically says that housing choice vouchers are considered a source of income and therefore must be accepted, in essence, by apartment owners. The problem that we have is that there are many demands that are made on apartment owners who accept housing choice vouchers. That's why Congress made it voluntary. This ordinance would effectively make it mandatory for apartment owners in the city of Madison Heights. The Section 8 voucher program and local public housing authorities who administer it require property owners and operators to adhere to additional regulatory requirements which are otherwise not imposed in a standard apartment leasing transaction. And there are a number of different requirements that are made of apartment owners who accept housing choice vouchers. There's a prescribed tenancy approval process, including additional paperwork and mandatory approval timeline. I'll speak to that a little bit more in a moment. You are required to use the local public housing authority's model lease or review and approval of the owner's preferred lease by the public housing authority, execution of a tenancy addendum to be attached to every voucher holder's lease. In addition to the owner and residence agreements, owners must agree to enter into a housing assistance payments contract with the public housing authority and to comply with added lease terms and administrative responsibilities contained therein. There's a potential change in the amount of housing assistance without warning and at any point during the term of the lease. Rents are subject to reasonableness requirements and limits on rent increases which are subject to approval by the PHA. Inspections of housing prior to move-in and annually are required in order to determine whether the housing meets HUD's housing quality standards and/or equivalent state or local standards approved by HUD. There are possible delays in rental payments at any point during the lease term without recourse. There are better options for improving the availability of rental housing for voucher holders than mandating participation in the Section 8 program, such as increasing funding for the program and reducing the bureaucratic requirements associated with it. And I just want to take my remaining time to just show you a chart. I have copies here, if I may.
You may, thank you. And sir, sorry, your 3 minutes, sir. Your 3 minutes are up. I will pass this out to council. Are there extra copies that we can?
Yes, there should be enough copies for everybody on
Okay.
council. And this just gives you a side-by-side comparison
All right.
of the normal lease process versus the lease process when you have to use housing choice vouchers.
All right. Thank you for your comments. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you very much for your
All right.
time.
Sir, you're next.
Good afternoon. Good evening, I'm sorry. This is Steve Tomkowiak. I'm Executive Director of the Fair Housing Center, Metropolitan Detroit. Speaking very short, briefly to the last item, the source of income. Currently, there are no parade of horribleness when it comes to source of income protection and also when it comes to covering Section 8. Currently, 18 states plus the District of Columbia have adopted source of income protection. It's been adopted in a growing number of municipalities throughout the state of Michigan. The previous objections and statements that have been made have all been considered and all been rejected. 2/3 of voucher holders cannot use the voucher. There is no affordable housing. It's not cramming down low rentals on housing providers. If they cannot offer, do not offer the market rate, that property is not available. These source of income protection would not cover single families, people with 2 homes. It would only cover those that are apartment complexes, those that are in the real estate business. As far as what it's required in terms of repairs and upkeep and maintenance, it's already required by Michigan law. Michigan law has a specific habitability requirement. If they're claiming that this is going to create a problem for keeping a property up to code or whatever, it's something they're already supposed to be doing. The Section 8 program doesn't require additional habitability requirements. It's simply holding people responsible for what they should be doing. Oakland County, in fact, is making funds specifically available for those that have any kind of objection, offering a couple $1,000s to people who feel that they need help getting their property up to code, which is what they should be doing anyways. There's other things that could be said, but the fact of the matter is there are at times, opposition to it, but we have a critical shortage of housing unavailable for low-income persons. That is a critical shortage. Source of income does it. It's a guaranteed income. In terms of what requires, in terms of lease agreement, there's a HUD addendum. The HUD addendum is available. It's available online. You can take a look at it. There's nothing unreasonable about the HUD addendum. So a lot of things like this get said to hype people up against it, a major problem, but it's not. The ordinance that I drafted that you are reviewing is one that the Greater Metropolitan Area Association of Realtors, it's the largest realtor group. They're based in Southfield. They reviewed it, some of the provisions in there. So it was a negotiated process to come up with this ordinance that would meet the concerns of the real estate industry. Not looking to, throw something on people that are unreasonable. That's not what our office does. That's not good policy in the least. But it is a growing trend throughout the country. Number of cities, Hazel Park, Ferndale, along with Grand Rapids, Jackson. I mean, it goes on and on. Royal Oak Township already adopted it. So a growing number have already adopted it. I like the music. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else who wanted to comment this evening? Public comment? All right, seeing none, I'm closing public comment, and I'm actually taking a 5-minute break. I'm sorry. We had one that we're going to read.
Sorry, just a real quick email. Friends of the Madison Heights Area Senior Citizens October Casual 3rd Tuesday meeting is on October 19th at 5 o'clock p.m. at John R. Grill, 26623 John R. Road, Madison Heights, Michigan. Coffee and snacks on them. For any questions, call 248-495-5509 and leave a voicemail.
Thank you. We will be back in 5 minutes. Everyone, we are going to convene. We are going to reconvene. So meeting is now closed to the public, and we are going to start with communications. C1, Sean Fleming, the resignation from the Historical Commission. All right. So in light of recent events, Mr. Fleming has resigned from the Historical Commission, and we need to accept his resignation formally. Does he vote on that or no?
Your Honor, he should not vote.
Okay. So Councilman Fleming, I'm going to ask you to abstain from this vote, please.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So what is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Councilor Rohrbach.
I move that the council accepts council accepts Sean Fleming's resignation from the Historical Commission and declares his seat vacant.
All right. Thank you. Is there a second?
Your Honor. Second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to accept the resignation, declare the seat vacant, and give thanks for the is there any discussion? All right. Councilman Fleming will be abstaining from this. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against say no. Resignation is accepted. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have the D1 Human Resource Director resolution opting out of PA 152. Mrs. Marsh.
Public Act 152 as amended limits the amount public employers pay towards employee medical benefits. Beginning January 1st, 2022, City Council is required to make an election of its choice of compliance for the subsequent calendar year. Given that all of the city's collective bargaining agreements have been approved by City Council and provide for a 10% employee premium sharing, City Council is requested to opt out of Public Act 152 as allowable under the state statute for the year, and this requires 5 votes.
All right. Thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor.
Councilor Rohrbach.
I move that we opt out of, excuse me, I don't know why I can't speak tonight. I move that the city opts out of PA 152 as allowable under the statute for the year.
All right. Thank you. Is there a second?
Your Honor.
Here it comes.
Second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to opt out. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Please.
for the benefit of council, 5 votes are required to pass this motion as indicated in the statute.
All right. Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right. Seeing none, we will take just a regular vote with the reminder that we do need 5 to pass this. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those against say no.
No.
All right. Thank you. Motion carries 6-1.
5-1.
5.
Oh,
Mr. Mayor, I
I'm-
voted no.
right. Motion carries 6-1.
Your Honor,
Did-
5-1.
Either one.
6 of us.
Councilman Corbett's not here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You're right. I'm so sorry. I'm so used to that. Yep, you are correct. My apologies. All right. Next up, we have F, bid awards purchases. First one is the DPS director, scheduled replacement of the DPS tandem axle dump truck, number 424.
Fiscal year 2022 budget includes the scheduled replacement of Vehicle 424, which is a 2003 Sterling tandem dump truck. As with recent dump truck replacements, the city is able to utilize a cooperative purchasing contract through the City of Rochester Hills with Truck and Trailer Specialties for the truck body and other equipment, and Wolverine Freightliner for the chassis. Prior equipment provided to the city from these 2 vendors has proven to be reliable and of high quality. Vehicle 424 was last replaced as a result of the 2003 DPS fire and has provided 18 years of frontline service. The vehicle has a poor condition rating warranting priority replacement. Due to the extensive lead time from both Truck and Trailer Specialties and Wolverine Freightliner, the expected delivery of this truck is approximately 1 year from the approval date. Staff and I recommend that council award the purchase for 1 single-axle dump truck chassis to Wolverine Freightliner in the amount of $88,754, and the body and other equipment to Truck and Trailer Specialties under the terms of the Rochester Hills Cooperative Purchasing Bid in the amount of $166,370. This is a total expenditure of $255,124. $220,000 is currently budgeted and available, with an additional $16,737 available from a previously purchased leaf vacuum coming in under budget. Staff and I therefore request that council also approve a budget amendment for $18,387 to account 101-521-9850 to cover this overage. So that will be 2 motions, and the budget amendment will require 5 votes.
All right. Before we vote on this, Mr. Almus has something?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Just for clarification, it is a single axle dump truck, not a tandem axle dump truck.
Oh, all right. Thank you for that clarification. Appreciate that. Is there anything else we need to correct? No. Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, what does that mean? Have you driven it?
Yes, I have. The single axle dump truck is if you look on the back of a truck, a dump truck, there's either 2 axles, which has, 4 tires per axle. So if there's 2 axles, there's a second set of tires on the back of the axle. So the single axle dump truck carries less volume, less weight, less payload, but it's easier to maneuver. Okay, so when you get into cul-de-sacs or tighter areas, it's easier, like in snow emergencies or picking up leaves for that matter. It's easier, smaller turning radius versus the tandem axle dump truck that can carry more payload, more weight, more salt, more dirt, but it's more difficult to maneuver in tight areas.
What? No, I already knew that. It was for the public. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that clarification and that explanation. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor, I move that we approve a budget amendment of $18,387 to account 101-521-9850-000.
All right, thank you. And is there a second?
Ms. Grafstein,
Mr. Gettings?
I'll second the motion.
All right, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. This is the first of two motions. This one is for the budget amendment that would require the 5 votes in order to pass. So what is the wish of or is there any discussion? All right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those against say no. Motion carries 6-0. And then the second motion, does someone want to make a second motion?
Your Honor,
Please.
I move that we award the purchase of a single axle truck to Wolverine Freightliner in the amount of $88,754 and the body and other equipment to Truck and Trailer Specialties under the terms of the Rochester Hills Cooperative Purchasing Bid in the amount of $166,377 or $370. Sorry, I think that's right.
All right, thank you. And do I have a second on that?
Your Honor, I'll second.
All right, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. The purchase, is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Please.
just a request that we get a picture of Mr. Almus driving that truck on social media.
I second that motion.
All right. Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against say no. All right, motion carries again, 6-0. Next up, we have ordinances. First one is from the CED Director, ordinance number 2170. It's a zoning text amendment, 21-06. It's the outdoor seating. It's the first reading. Mrs. Marsh?
Ordinance 2170 is a zoning text amendment to introduce self-use specific standards for outdoor dining seating areas in order to more appropriately align the city's current site plan review process. Proposed use-specific standards pertain to location, parking, shade structures, and maintenance. Additionally, the proposed amendments allow for accessory outdoor entertainment subject to noise standards. The proposed amendments aim to clarify the standards and to review procedures for outdoor dining. The Planning Commission reviewed zoning text amendment 21-06 and held the public hearing on September the 21st before recommending City Council adopt the proposed amendment on first reading.
All right, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Mr. Bliss?
I move that we adopt ordinance 2170 on first reading.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
Your Honor, second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Mr. Bliss?
if staff could just clarify the difference with the original that we discussed with the Planning Commission, which is at a 0 decibel level. Let me actually go back for the sake of the public. When we discussed this with the Planning Commission, our goal was to make it easier for a business to have entertainment and to be able to utilize an outdoor patio for seating areas. And so as long as they don't have, as long as they don't serve alcohol, they don't need an entertainment permit. They can just have entertainment, with the only caveat that if you can hear it at a residential property line, that would be against the ordinance. So if they have entertainment, they can have outdoor music, they can have speakers, they can have an acoustic guitar, doesn't matter what that is, as long as you can't hear it at the residential property line. And so we used a 0 decibel when we talked about this in planning, but that has changed a little bit. And so I want, if staff could just give us a quick recap on what that change was and why this is a better version. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Matt Lunderstadt, City Planner. We went back and did a little bit of research to find out what decibel levels really mean. You know, they could, to someone that doesn't know, they're just numbers. We found a couple of charts and attached one of them, a 0 decibel level, well, for reference, about a 10 or 15 is someone coughing. So we felt that it was just impractical to have a 0 decibel level at the property line, because if someone coughs, you have 15. So a 25 is about the sound of a library or a bedroom at night. So we just felt that was a little bit more reasonable in terms of our performance standards.
All right, thank you. Is there any other discussion, comments from council? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. All right, motion carries 6-0. Next up from the city clerks, we have ordinance 2171, amendment to chapter 7, the business licensing. This is the first reading. Mrs. Marsh?
Following the town hall meeting in February 2020 to address the public concerns related to the issue at 10 Mile, staff was asked to research and propose changes to the city's business license ordinance to expand the licensing to all businesses within the city. Several other communities also license all businesses, including the city of Grosse Pointe Woods, Hamtramck, Wyoming, and Sterling Heights. After reviewing other communities' ordinances and discussing with other department heads to update current needs, a comprehensive revision of the business licensing ordinance is being proposed tonight. The proposed changes to the business license ordinance represent a comprehensive revision of the code of ordinances by requiring all businesses to be licensed in the city. It clarifies and consolidates language, removes obsolete regulations, and updates language to mirror state law. It replaces the current fee calculation with a uniform rate for most business types, adds a category for nuisance businesses, requires state certification documentation, provides for seasonal permits for outdoor activities for already licensed businesses, repeals the articles that are obsolete or covered under other regulations, and includes licensing and inspection for medical marijuana caregiver operations. And I will say some of the comments that we heard tonight are from caregiver operations. They're not from the 2 approved marijuana organizations within the city. So this would allow the city to not only require those caregivers to be licensed, but it would also require inspections of those facilities. Staff and I recommend that Council approve Ordinance 2171, which amends Chapter 7 of the Licensing Regulate Business within the City of Madison Heights, on first reading and by name and title only.
All right, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Councilor Rohrbach?
I move council approves the ordinance number 2171, amendments to Chapter 7 to license and regulate businesses in the city of Madison Heights on first reading by name and title only.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Ms. Grafstein,
Mr. Gettings?
I will second.
All right, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Please.
that last line, by name and title only, can we clarify what that means?
Your Honor,
Please.
it's kind of a technicality on, normally when you adopt an ordinance on first reading, it's by name and title only, and then the discussion as to the substance takes place on the second and final reading. But the way we've done it in the past is we've had discussion on the substance on first reading. And if council has any questions, Tim Burns from my office is here, who's reviewed the ordinance, and staff, I'm sure, would be happy to answer any questions council might have on first reading.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilor Rohrbach. Is there any other questions, comments by council? Okay, so this document is, did you say it was 35 pages long? It's,
I think so.
it's pretty lengthy. There's a lot in here. A lot of this is just really administrative cleaning up, things that you might say, oh, we don't do that already. That makes sense. So a lot of that's in here. There is a section specific to medical marijuana, so the comments that were made earlier, I just want to take a moment to address that. The facility that was mentioned this evening is not one of the two that has a license. We have 2 licensed facilities in the city. However, the state has licensed people to do what is called a caregiver model, and they are allowed to grow a certain number of plants. And up until a year ago, there was nothing the city could do. Last year, in the spring, a case called the Byron case finally moved in order, or in way of the cities, so to speak, and the city at that point was able to not say no, but to zone out certain areas. And because we already had the green zone, we, a month or 2 after that happened, we put in that caregivers had to be in the green zone. But if someone was already outside of the green zone, that wasn't factored in. They were allowed to stay. So what this does is it allows us to now do inspections and to look into these things, these complaints about odor. It's really difficult because the state has said you can do it and you can do it anywhere. And like I say, it wasn't until a year ago that the city was told you can actually tell them certain places they can't go. There's still a lot of things we're not allowed to do, but at least with this, we're allowed to go in and inspect and see what's happening with that. So just want to put that clarification in. This is public information. You are welcome to read the entire document, but just given the comments this evening, I want to put that out there. I know that there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of misunderstanding. There's a lot of complaints about these caregivers, but it rests with the state, so we're doing what we can, and hopefully this will help address some of those issues. So there is no more discussion, then I'm going to take a vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those against say no. All right, motion carries. This passes first reading 6-0. Next up, we have from the city clerk an amendment to the city clerk's fee schedule resolution.
So since City Council just passed Ordinance 2171 on first reading, staff and I recommend that City Council also approve a resolution to revise the fee schedule for business license. This revision will implement a uniform fee of $100 for business license unless otherwise provided, and a $300 plus applicable inspection fees for the marijuana caregivers.
All right, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Mr. Bliss?
I move that we approve this resolution to revise the fee schedule for business licenses, which implements a uniform fee of $100 for all business licenses, and then $300 is an inspection fee for marijuana caregivers.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
Your Honor,
Councilor Warbach?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against say no. Motion carries 6-0. Next up, G4, from the city attorney, we have the HREC recommended ordinance 2172, the source of income housing discrimination. This is the revised first reading. Mrs. Marsh?
At the September 13th council meeting, a revised draft of the non-discriminating source of income housing ordinance was presented. This ordinance brought questions regarding enforcement of the ordinance and the role to be played by the city of Madison Heights. Based on these questions and comments and the involvement of the Fair Housing of Detroit organization, which was discovered at the meeting, this item was postponed indefinitely and referred back to city administration for review and comment. Staff and legal counsel held a meeting with the executive director of the Fair Housing Center of Metropolitan Detroit. Based on these discussions and at their recommendation, we are presenting a revised ordinance which removes both complaint and civil violation provisions. Violations and alleged violations will be pursued as private actions in civic court. As to private actions, the ordinance provides a 2-year phase-in period to provide sufficient time for housing providers to become aware of the new source of income protections. The ordinance also includes various exemptions, including single-family and Mrs. Murphy exemptions adopted from the Federal Fair Housing Act, or HUD's implementation regulations. This will ensure that the ordinance reaches only those engaged in residential real estate business and not those who seek to rent 1, 2, or 3 homes in Madison Heights. Based on these revisions, staff and legal counsel recommend approval of 2172 on first reading, scheduling the second and final reading for October 25th, 2021.
All right, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor.
Councilor Rohrbach?
I move council approves the ordinance 2172 on first reading and scheduling the second and final reading for October 25th, 2021.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Ms. Grafstein,
Mr. Gettings?
I will second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor, I think this is an important step for the city of Madison Heights to ensure that our low-income residents, folks who are searching and having a difficult time, particularly identifying and securing housing, especially in this difficult housing market, be able to utilize the vouchers and sources of income that they have. These are not just Section 8, they are veterans housing, there's Social Security, there's all of the ways that people could access housing, the programs that are available to them. This takes down the barriers from them being able to access housing. Our representative from Fair Housing Center mentioned earlier today, he said 2/3 of voucher holders are not able to use their vouchers in order to secure housing. It's 2/3 of the people who qualify for housing vouchers are unable to do so because landlords that they attempt to use them at say, no, we're just not going to take yours. We're not going to take your housing. And I think that is unfair and it makes it more difficult than it needs to for residents, for people, citizens, people in this community to be able to access housing. So I know that our representative from Fair Housing is still here, so hopefully we can tap him to answer any additional questions that council may have.
All right, thank you. Is there any other discussion?
Your Honor? I like the other gentleman, I'm sorry, what was your name? Yeah. Yeah, if you can just do a quick summary again of what you spoke earlier about your position on this issue.
Your Honor, you'd have to open public.
Okay, so I'm going to open public comment just for this,
Yeah.
but he's.
Well, traditionally, we used to ask.
Thank you very much. Thank you. In summary, our position is that while we certainly support fair housing, the Housing Choice Voucher Program is not mandatory. Congress did not make it mandatory. They made it optional. And as I've said earlier, there are a number of landlords who are perfectly willing to work with the Housing Choice Voucher Program and accept Housing Choice vouchers. But it is their option to do so. The chart that I gave you shows how difficult it is to go through the process of leasing an apartment home to somebody who has a Housing Choice voucher. This is what it looks like for standard leasing. This is the Byzantine labyrinth that a landlord has to go through if they choose to accept a housing choice voucher. And as I said, many landlords may make that choice, but it is a choice. This ordinance makes it mandatory. That's our concern.
Your Honor? So the diagram, I don't know if the people that aren't seeing it, but it's pretty elaborate. And so you're saying that each time that happens, that's the possibility of going from start to finish?
Yes. On the right shows what has to happen in order for a housing choice voucher to be accepted. You have to go through this entire process, both through the leasing office and then through the housing authority process. And it is a labyrinth. I have many clients who have to work through this process, and it's difficult. Plus, every year, in many cases, there has to be recertification, and at any time, the Public Housing Authority can decide to change the rental amount.
Your Honor.
Councilor Rohrbach?
I'm seeing this, elaborate graph showing all the things that need to happen. One of the things that, I understand is that the process is actually pretty reasonable. There's about 15 minutes worth of paperwork that the landlords complete, and, a lot of this stuff happens, it's sent off and completed. It doesn't put an unusual amount of administrative work on the landlord. In addition, these kinds of things like the inspection and, ensuring that the homes are qualified or are meeting standards. I would hope that every landlord, in the city of Madison Heights, we want all of our landlords. We don't want any slumlords.
Of course not.
Holding buildings to a low level and things like that. We would hope that every property would be able to pass these. In addition, the Oakland County, has mentioned that Oakland County is offering money to landlords to be able to help meet their expectations as far as bringing properties up to snuff. You had said there are plenty of landlords willing to accept vouchers, but yet 2/3 of voucher holders can't find a landlord that will accept their vouchers.
Well, I'm not sure I agree with that statistic. I have a number of clients who are in the affordable housing community, and they do accept housing choice vouchers. But they know how the process works, and they're able to work through this. But there are a lot of landlords who are small landlords who have no way of complying with all this. And so I think, while I understand the goal, and I think it's very laudable, I don't think you're going to be able to achieve it. All you're doing is making small landlords accept this process that Congress has said
Your Honor.
is not mandatory.
Okay, so thank you for your comments. I have a concern that this is about to turn into a debate where we're going to invite the other gentleman to come up, and we're going to have the two of them having a debate here.
Your Honor.
About something that is...
I'm not looking to have a debate.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that all of the information is shared properly. One of the things that I want to identify is in this ordinance, we're not saying the person that has 1 or 2 or 3 homes in the city that they're renting out. These people are exempt from this ordinance. This is not looking to identify, Mrs. Murphy who has a house that she wants to rent out or a room in the building. That is not going to be something that is going to be affecting somebody in that situation. We're talking about larger properties. In addition, as was mentioned, the Realtor Association fully supports this ordinance. We have other communities in nearby areas that are all in support of it. And the county is in support of it. And all the folks who work in the fair housing and in housing programs are saying this is the way that we help people achieve housed status. We have an entire large population of folks who are going to be coming up in the next, several months to a year that are going to be losing their homes or losing their access to their current house because perhaps they've lost all of their income over the last year. They've become permanently disabled due to a COVID illness. There are so many reasons that this could be something that is direly needed in the coming years, and I'd like to make sure that we are able to address it early on.
One thing I would point out is that this ordinance.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I think we haven't addressed you.
Yeah,
Well, Your Honor, I do. So I want to know, sir, about, the counselor said that it's not as cumbersome as this diagram portrays, and then in terms of realtor organizations that are backing this type of legislation, if you can give your opinion on that.
In my experience, it is this complicated, and so I believe that this is an appropriate diagram. This is not something that was just pulled out of thin air. This is the process that they have to go through. And I would also point out that the ordinance does not address duplexes. So a single duplex, an owner of a single duplex would be covered by this statute, even if it is this ordinance, even if it's the only duplex that the landlord has.
Okay.
And what about the realtor
Okay,
organizations?
sorry, Mayor Pro Tem, I'm gonna put a stop to this. We've been talking about this, and
Well, but I still have a right to ask that
No,
question.
you do, you do. Can I speak?
Yes,
Can I speak? Okay. So I think that this is about to turn into what my concern was, because we have two people who are experts in the field, one who is going to say these are all the reasons we should do this, and one who is going to say here's all the reasons we shouldn't, okay? So I think we need to revisit this and actually have them on the agenda to provide reports, because public comment is 3 minutes, and each of them had 3 minutes. This gentleman's come up. I'm going to expect that someone's going to ask the other one to come up, but maybe not. So I would like to see some kind of a motion that would put this off into another time when we can actually have reports from these two groups so that they have more than 3 minutes, both of them. And then any questions that you have can be addressed at that time, because we've opened public comment again, and we're just...
So, Your
I
Honor,
would
you're
appreciate that
suggesting
very
that we
much.
postpone the vote until we...
However council would like to make a motion, I would like to see something where it's actually on the agenda, where we have, these two gentlemen represent two different groups. And I think we need to give them each equal time to, an equal forum to present, so that we can hear both sides. This is why we should do it, this is why we shouldn't do it, but I don't think that this is the proper time now, because this can go on, and then someone in the audience might have a question, and then I'm gonna feel obligated to open public comment to them as well. So if someone wants to make that motion, if not, I am gonna close public comment now, so thank you, and apologies, sir, if someone wanted you to speak, but I am closing public comment for the evening.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you. So if there's any more discussion among council members, this would be the time if someone wants to make a substitute motion to what's been made, or if you want to vote on this. What is the wish of council at this point? We do have a motion. We have a motion by Councilor Rohrbach, seconded by Councilman Gettings, to approve this as is. So,
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a substitute motion that we postpone this vote until we hear both sides of the issue without being public comment section.
okay. And is there a second for that?
Can I second that, Larry? Ms. Grafstein, I'll second.
All right, thank you. So the motion has been made that we are going to postpone this. We are going to put it on a future agenda, and we are going to invite these two parties to come back and provide us with actual reports, not just limit them to 3 minutes, but actually provide us with reports so that everyone can make a decision about this, okay? Is there discussion on the substitute?
Your Honor, assuming that the substitute passes from council, I would request that we, gosh, I think it's been 7 years since we've done something like this, but we gave up to 10 minutes for presentations.
That's fine.
Each, and I would, if the maker and the second would be willing to adopt that in, so that way we have a time limit for presentations from organizations, so that way it's not completely open-ended. There should be some sort of a time limit, is just my request.
Okay, request has been made.
Your Honor, Councilman, you said 10 minutes?
I think we did that before, but whatever the number, I think there just needs to be a number, otherwise it could get out of hand.
Well, I think when we go to put this on the agenda, I agree we need to have some kind of limit. Mr. Sherman, should we put in a 10-minute limit at this point, or whatever limit we're going to put in?
Your Honor, that's up to the maker of the substitute motion and support as to whether they want to include that, amend their substitute motion to include that.
Well,
I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, if we think that this is actually going to take a significant amount of time, perhaps we should have some kind of a special council meeting to discuss this. I don't know. I see this going on for however long. So I don't know how long these.
Well, as a maker of the substitute motion, I don't necessarily see it going on and on. I think 15 minutes would be ample time for both.
So, for each side, or?
Each side. Up to 15 minutes.
Okay, so why don't we do this? We will ask these two groups to provide a report, and council will have that report. I expect it will be made public a few days beforehand. And then when we come to that meeting, they will each be given their 10 minutes to answer questions. Because
Your Honor,
everyone will have the report. Is that?
The amendment to the substitute motion was up to 15 minutes, and the inquiry now is whether support, Mr. Gettings, agrees with the substitute, the amended substitute motion.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Yes.
So a vote on the amended substitute motion is required first.
And Your Honor,
Please.
I would just also ask that we make sure that it's a meeting that Councilman Corbett is also at as our resident real estate expert, as a realtor and a broker for many years, just making sure that he's there for when we talk about it.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. He was excused. He planned on not being here. So yes, I think we can do that. So we have a substitute motion and support. We've got substitute motions and a second of the substitute. Is there any further discussion on the substitute? Okay, shall we do let's do a roll call vote for this one. This is a vote on the substitute, which is to have the two parties provide us with a written report and then come to the council meeting to do a 15-minute answer session.
Your Honor, the substance of the substitute motion is again to postpone indefinitely to a date where this would be brought back by staff with those stipulations. So,
Okay.
is that correct?
So moved, yes.
Yeah. Mr. Gettings?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So clerk, can you do a roll call on the substitute, please?
Yes. Councilman Gettings.
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis.
Yes.
Councilman Bliss.
Yes.
Councilman Fleming.
Yes.
And Mayor Grafstein.
I vote yes, substitute motion carries 6-0. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have the approval of the minutes. We've got the regular city council meeting from September 27th. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Ms. Bliss?
I move that we adopt the minutes of September 27th, 2021 as printed.
All right, thank you. Is there a second? Second?
Your Honor,
Councilor Rohrbach?
I'll second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those against say no. Motion carries. Thank you. And then we have the special city council meeting from September 30th. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Councilor Rohrbach.
move the council adopts the special city council meeting minutes from September 30th, 21.
Thank you. And is there a second?
Your Honor, I support.
Councilman Bliss, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. Thank you. And I now invite closing comments, starting with Councilman Bliss.
Yeah, Your Honor. So I normally don't talk about elections during election season, and I don't really intend to start. I just want to ask everybody to be kind out there. Anytime that there's an election, whether it's city or federal or state, everybody has opinions, your neighbors have opinions. Just please be kind. Everybody running cares about the community, everybody running would contribute and bring something. Just be kind to one another is all I ask. Everybody has families. Everybody can see what is written, can hear what is talked about. Just be kind. That's it, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Councilman Gettings?
I just go along with Councilman Bliss. Make sure you try to get out and vote, be it absentee or in person. That's our great democratic country that we have, and we should all take advantage. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Sherman, anything from the Attorney's Office?
Yes, Your Honor, very briefly, congratulations to our award winners and our nominees on the Beautification Awards. Congratulations to the Madison Heights Community Coalition. That is absolutely phenomenal for them to have received $625,000 in grant money to help younger people in our community who have issues that need to be dealt with. And congratulations to Councilman Fleming on his appointment to City Council. Thank you.
No comment today.
Anything from the Clerk's Office this evening?
Yes, thank you. Just a reminder that we do have an election coming up, November 2nd. Absentee ballots are available at the City Clerk's Office. If you need an application, you can either get one online, go on the Secretary of State's website, get one, come into our office, or call us and we'll send you one. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rohrbach?
Tonight, I'm just reminding everybody that the Arts Board is hosting a pumpkin walk on October 29th. There are 500 spots total that people can sign up for, set up at 6 o'clock, 6:45, 7:30, and 8:15. We're trying to keep each time slot so it's not overrun, so there's a little bit of ability to be distanced. The earlier time slots are great for the little ones. The later time slots are great for the older ones. So, but please come out and join the Arts Board in this exciting and fun activity right out here at Civic Center Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Fleming?
No comments tonight, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Soltis.
I think that's a first. Well, you'll get used to it. Don't worry about it. So, congratulations, Councilman.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so also, again, it's about 3 weeks, so just make sure you go out and vote. Whenever it gets down to us, on my end, everyone's ready to go, so I try to make it quick. I also want to thank Councilwoman Scott for taking the pictures. She's always done that ever since I've known her, and do a fantastic job, so thank you. And that's all.
All right, thank you. I want to thank everyone who came out this evening and who spoke this evening. I'm really glad that the coalition got this grant over the next few years. What Councilman Bliss was saying about being kind, I actually made a note. I was going to finish. I always make notes about the different things I want to talk about. Sometimes I forget, sometimes I remember, I add them on. And I had at the very end, be kind. And the reason it's at the end is because there's a few things I want to talk about that aren't necessarily kind. It can really bring out the ugliness in people. And that is, I just want everyone to remember that you don't always know what's going on in someone's house. You don't know what's going on in someone's head. And just be kind, because everybody is fighting a battle. It may be an illness like cancer, and we talk a lot this month about breast cancer. I lost my grandmother to breast cancer. There's so many other cancers as well, but you don't know. People look healthy, and you don't know. There's also a lot of illnesses that are hidden, and some of those are mental health illnesses, and those are a problem across all ages. And I really hope that the coalition is going to be able to help address that, because one of the things that happens is if you don't catch mental illness in time, people can become, they can start abusing drugs. They can also become violent, and this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so this is something that really want people to see what you can do to learn about this, to figure out where you might be able to identify something. If you know someone, what kind of support you can offer. And there's a number, it's 800-799-7233. It's the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I was reading a statistic, it says that something like 95% of offenders are men. In my day, we called them wife beaters. We don't call them that anymore. Probably just said something that's politically incorrect, but that's what it is. Guy hits his wife, he's a wife beater. And women go back, and they go back because they don't know where to get resources. So if you know someone who is in that situation, please give them this number. Please reach out to them. And please be kind, because you don't know what anybody else is facing. So congratulations to the coalition, to the Beautification Award winners, and to our newest councilman, Councilman Fleming. Perhaps next meeting you will have some kind of comments you would like to share with us. Our next meeting will be October 25th. The time is 9:15. Everyone, please be kind. Good night. This meeting's adjourned.